Okay, are you ready? Ready to dive deep into the world of Israeli cuisine with Liat Portal. We've got a whole stack of her blog posts, podcast appearances, and let me tell you this deep dive. This isn't your average, cooking show.
Yeah, it's really interesting. What's fascinating to me is how Liat uses food, especially these dishes passed down through generations, as a language, a way to share culture and build bridges.
It's like, every bite tells a story, right?
Yeah.
And Liat, she is an incredible storyteller. And she's actually she's nominated for YouTube's Rising Star Award.
Oh, wow.
And she needs our help to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month.
So if you want to support Liat and really, experience this unique approach to food and culture, head over to her YouTube channel. It's called The Liat Show, My Journey to Infinity, and just hit subscribe.
Yeah, and hey, while you're at it, share this deep dive with your friends. The most creative and viral reel or short about the Liat Show wins a prize.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's unpack what makes Liat's approach so unique. One thing that really struck me is that for her, the most delicious food comes from grandparents.
Oh, yeah, I totally get that. That resonates with me too. There's something special about those recipes, the ones that are passed down through generations. Liat believes it's a combination of heritage, family traditions, and that emotional connection, to those dishes.
It's like those secret ingredients that you
Yeah.
can't find in any cookbook, right?
Exactly.
And speaking of ingredients, Liat's deep dive into Israeli cuisine really opened my eyes. It's so much more than just, hummus and falafel.
Right, exactly. It's a melting pot. All these influences from Jewish communities worldwide. Think schnitzel, bourekas, shakshuka, kubi soup. I mean, each dish has its own unique origin story.
And I found her exploration of schnitzel particularly interesting. Did you know it's considered one of the most Israeli foods, even though it originated in Europe?
I did not.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a perfect example of how food, travels and evolves. Liat explains how schnitzel came to Israel with European immigrants, and it was adapted to kosher dietary laws.
Right, and she even highlighted this Friday schnitzel tradition in Israel. It's amazing how a dish can become so ingrained in a culture's weekly rituals.
It's really fascinating, and it's evolved into so many different versions. She mentioned corn schnitzel, broccoli schnitzel, even tofu schnitzel.
Wow.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
shows how Israeli cuisine really embraces creativity and adapts to different dietary needs.
I was actually fascinated by how Liat connected schnitzel to her own family's Moroccan Jewish traditions.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she described this incredible Friday lunch ritual that was centered around what she called the Moroccan sandwich.
What is that?
So it's mabucha salad, schnitzel, fried eggplant, and fried green chili peppers, and it's all packed into a round challah bun.
Yeah.
And mabucha salad, by the way, is a cooked Moroccan salad of tomatoes and roasted peppers, seasoned with garlic and chili peppers.
That sounds amazing.
It does. It
Wow.
sounds delicious, right? Such a vibrant example of how Israeli cuisine blends diverse influences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Liat also delves into the history of Bourekas,
Oh, Bourekas.
that flaky, savory pastry you find everywhere in Israel.
Everywhere.
Turns out might be older than we think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the name itself reflects its journey, right?
Mm.
It's
Sarek.
in Turkey, Burek in Yugoslavia. It's really fascinating to trace how food migrates and adapts across cultures.
It really is.
And Leah even pointed out the connection between Bourekas and the rise of frozen food in Israel. It's a reminder that food is a product of its time, right?
Yeah.
Shaped by technology and changing lifestyles.
Absolutely. And Liat always throws in a personal anecdote to kind of keep things fun. I loved her story about a Bourekas brunch gone wrong, because she forgot to oil the foil.
I know it was
It's
hilarious.
so relatable.
It's so relatable, right? Like it reminded me that even experienced cooks, we all have those kitchen mishaps.
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Speaking of connecting, Liat emphasizes how food brings people together, especially in Israel.
Yeah, that's really important. What's important is that Liat's perspective kind of offers a different narrative from what we often see in the news. She highlights the peaceful coexistence and cultural exchange that happen through food.
She talked about her experiences with Israeli Arab cuisine and how much she loves the schnitzel from what Israelis call Oriental restaurants serving Arab cuisine. It shows how food can break down stereotypes.
Right. Sharing a meal creates a common ground, right? where people can connect on a human level regardless of their background. Liat's stories really highlight that.
And I think it's important to remind our listeners that they can be a part of Liat's journey and support her nomination for YouTube's Rising Star Award.
Absolutely. It's easy to do. Just search for the Liat Show, My Journey to Infinity on YouTube, and just hit that subscribe button. It only takes a second, and it could make all the difference.
And don't forget to spread the word by sharing this deep dive with your friends and creating a reel or a short about the Liat Show. The most creative and viral one wins a prize. Now, back to what makes Liat's approach so captivating.
Yeah, one thing that really stands out to me is how she weaves personal stories into her culinary explorations. It makes her feel like a friend, sharing her passion, not just a chef presenting recipes.
Right. It's not just about the food itself, right? It's about the memories, the mishaps, the moments of joy and connection that happen around the table. That's what makes her work so engaging.
Her enthusiasm is contagious, you can hear it in her voice. It's like she's sharing a secret ingredient that brings every dish to life.
And she's not afraid to be vulnerable either, right?
Oh, absolutely not.
She openly shares her cooking fails, her moments of self-doubt. It makes her relatable, and it reminds us that everyone makes mistakes, even in the kitchen.
Exactly. She's not presenting herself as a culinary superhero. She's just Liat, a real person who loves food and loves sharing it with others.
And that's what makes her so appealing, right? It's like having a friend in the kitchen, guiding you through the process and making you feel like you can actually do this.
Absolutely. She does a brilliant job of making even complex culinary concepts feel accessible.
Right.
She uses clear language, avoids jargon, and isn't afraid to get a little silly sometimes.
I know, like when she explained how to pronounce Bourekas, she compared it to saying boo like a ghost.
Oh, I loved that.
I know, it was so memorable, and it helped me get it right.
Exactly. It's not just about providing information. It's about making it stick with the listener. And she does that masterfully.
Yeah, and she doesn't shy away from sharing her love for Israeli cuisine, even when it's not, the healthiest option.
Right.
Her honesty about her struggles with maintaining a healthy diet in a country where Bourekas are so readily available is refreshing.
It reminds us that even the most delicious treats should be enjoyed in moderation, right? It's about finding that balance and not taking food too seriously.
Okay, so let's talk about what sets Israeli cuisine apart. Liat describes it as a true fusion of flavors influenced by Jewish communities worldwide.
I love that. It's true. She points out that each community brought its signature dishes, creating this incredible mix of culinary traditions.
Right. And over time, those dishes evolved and blended together, taking on a distinctly Israeli identity. It's more than just the dishes themselves. It's about understanding the historical context, the cultural influences, and the human stories behind each recipe.
Right. It's the whole package.
It's a whole package.
Yeah.
Liat, she does an amazing job of weaving all those threads together. It's like she's taking you on a journey through the history of Israel one bite at a time.
And she doesn't shy away from the challenges and complexities of that history either. She talked about how the need to adapt traditional recipes to kosher dietary laws, it actually spurred a wave of culinary innovation.
Right. It's a reminder that limitations can sometimes lead to the most creative solutions.
Absolutely.
And that's something that resonates throughout Liat's work, this idea that embracing different perspectives and finding ways to bridge divides, it can lead to something truly unique and delicious.
Yeah, I love that.
Speaking of delicious, let's dive into Liat's take on schnitzel. She calls it the star of Israeli cuisine, which might come as a surprise to those who mainly associate Israeli food with hummus and falafel.
It's true. She makes a compelling case for it, though. Schnitzel has become a true cultural phenomenon in Israel, with a whole set of traditions and rituals built around it. It's a great example of how a dish that originated in Europe was adapted, and ultimately transformed into something uniquely Israeli.
And Liat pointed out that the Israeli version of schnitzel is typically made with chicken breast, a departure from the traditional veal schnitzel. This adaptation wasn't just about preference, but also about kosher dietary laws and the availability of ingredients in Israel's early years.
Yeah, it's really interesting how those practical constraints led to the creation of a new culinary tradition. And Liat doesn't just stop at the basic schnitzel recipe, right? She explores all the different ways Israelis have made it their own.
Right, from the breading to the side dishes to the sauces.
Exactly. She mentioned versions with bisley crumbs, those Israeli cheese puffs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and cornflakes crumbs, too. It's a perfect illustration of how Israelis have taken a classic dish and infused it with uh, their own unique flavor.
And then there's the whole Friday schnitzel tradition, which Liat describes in such vivid detail. It's like she's transporting you right into an Israeli kitchen with the aroma of fried schnitzel filling the air and the anticipation of a delicious family meal building up.
Oh, I can almost smell it.
Right. And what's great is that Liat doesn't just present this tradition as a monolithic thing, right?
Hmm.
She highlights the different variations and personal touches that each family brings to it.
Absolutely, like her best friend's family, who always serves their Friday schnitzel with coleslaw. It's a reminder that even within a shared cultural tradition, there's room for individual expression, you know? Those little quirks that make each family's version special.
Right. And speaking of quirky, Liat's deep dive into Bourekas is another fantastic example of how she blends history, personal anecdotes, and humor to bring Israeli cuisine to life.
It's true. Bourekas is one of those dishes you find everywhere in Israel, from bakeries to street stalls to family kitchens. Liat does a great job of explaining how this seemingly simple pastry actually has a long and fascinating history, with roots stretching back centuries and across multiple cultures.
And along the way, she peppers her narrative with personal memories, like her childhood experiences with frozen Bourekas.
Oh yeah, the frozen Bourekas, a true staple of Israeli kitchens.
Right. And she even talks about the unique challenges of pronouncing the name Bourekas for non-Hebrew speakers.
Right.
I loved her comparison to saying boo like a ghost, followed by Ray, like in the name Renee, and ending with Cass like Cassidy.
It's so good, so clever and memorable.
Right. It was so clever. It really underscores her commitment to making Israeli culture accessible to a global audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's also interesting is how Liat connects the popularity of Bourekas to the rise of convenience foods in Israel.
Right. She talked about how frozen Bourekas became a lifesaver for busy families in the 1980s and 1990s, offering a quick and easy meal solution.
Right. It's a reminder that food trends are often shaped by social and economic factors as much as by taste preferences.
Mm-hmm.
And Liat, she always keeps it real. She doesn't shy away from discussing the potential health downsides of Bourekas, particularly those high in trans fat.
Right.
She even talked about her own struggles with maintaining a healthy diet in a country where Bourekas are so readily available and tempting.
And delicious. Her honesty is refreshing. It makes her relatable and reminds us that even the most delicious treats should be enjoyed in moderation.
And it also highlights Liat's commitment to share not just the joys of Israeli cuisine, but also some of the practical considerations go along with it.
Exactly. So we've covered schnitzel, we've covered Bourekas, but one of the most compelling aspects of Liat's work is how she uses food as a lens to explore the complex relationship between Israeli Jews and Arab Israelis.
Right, and this is where her approach gets really powerful, right? She moves beyond just describing dishes and delves into the social and cultural dynamics that play out around the dinner table.
Exactly. For example, she talked about how much she loved the schnitzel served at Oriental restaurants, which is Israeli slang for restaurants serving Arab cuisine. It's a subtle detail, but it speaks volumes about how food can transcend cultural boundaries and create unexpected connections.
Yeah, it shows how sharing a meal can create a space for connection and understanding, even in contexts where there's a history of conflict.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about recognizing the humanity in each other, and food can be that bridge to discovering those shared experiences.
Liat also shared stories about building friendships with Arab Israelis through a shared love of food. These personal anecdotes highlight the power of food to break down stereotypes and create genuine connections.
Yeah, it's a reminder that personal connections can often bridge divides in ways that politics cannot.
Right. Food becomes this common language, a way to a way to communicate and connect on a deeper level. It's about celebrating differences while also acknowledging our shared humanity.
Exactly. It's about fostering empathy and understanding through the simple act of sharing a meal.
And this is something we could all learn from, right? In
Absolutely.
a world that can often feel divided, food can be a powerful force for unity and understanding. It's a universal language that everyone can speak, and it's something we all have in common.
Yeah. So, what are some specific ways that Liat encourages people to use food to connect with different cultures?
Well, one thing she emphasizes is the importance of being open to trying trying new things. She's always encouraging her audience uh, to step outside their comfort zones and explore different culinary traditions.
She doesn't just say, go try this new dish.
Right.
She gives you the context, the history, the personal stories that make the food come alive.
It's like she's saying, here's a window into a different culture.
Come explore it with me.
Come explore it with me.
Exactly. She also talks about the importance of approaching food with a sense of curiosity and respect.
Hmm.
It's not just about ticking off dishes on a checklist.
Right.
It's about understanding the cultural significance of food and appreciating the traditions and techniques that have been passed down through generations.
Instead of just focusing on what's on your plate, use it as an opportunity to ask questions, share stories, and learn about other people's experiences.
Yeah, make those connections, building those bridges, and expanding your understanding of the world one bite at a time.
Right. And remember, Liat needs our help to reach 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the month for the Rising Star Award. Just search for The Liat Show, My Journey to Infinity, and hit subscribe.
Yeah, it's a simple way to show your support and be a part of something truly special.
Now, before we move on to the next books of our deep dive, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned from Liat's approach to Israeli cuisine. What resonated with you the most?
For me, it's the reminder that food is more than just sustenance. It's a powerful tool for connection, learning, and cultural exchange. And it's something that we can all use to bridge divides, build relationships, and expand our understanding of the world.
I completely agree. Liat's work is a testament to the power of food to bring people together and create a more harmonious and delicious world. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll explore more of Liat's insights and culinary adventures.
Welcome back to our deep dive into Liat Portal's world.
Before we move on, I want to pick up on something you said earlier about food being more than just sustenance.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's something that Liat really embodies completely, right? It's this idea that food can be a powerful tool for connection, for learning, and for cultural exchange. It's about, bridging divides, building relationships, and expanding our understanding of the world, beyond ourselves.
Liat doesn't just talk about this, though. She actively seeks out opportunities to connect with people from different backgrounds through food.
Right, right. She's hosted, events that bring together Jewish and Arab Israelis to share their culinary traditions, and she's even collaborated on recipes that fuse elements of both cuisines.
It's really a fantastic example of using food as a tool for positive change.
Absolutely. It's not about, erasing differences, but it's about finding ways to celebrate them while recognizing our shared humanity.
That really resonated with me. Thinking about Liat's work in this broader context, I'm curious to hear what stood out to you about how she uses food to bridge cultural divides.
Well, what struck me was how Liat really highlights the everyday experiences of peaceful coexistence and cultural exchange that occur through food in Israel.
Right, right. It's a perspective we don't often see in mainstream media, right?
It's true. It's true. It's easy to get caught up in, the political headlines and lose sight of the human stories.
And Liat, she reminds us that even amidst conflict, people can find common ground through something as simple as sharing a meal.
Right, exactly. She gave a great example about how much she enjoys, the schnitzel served at Oriental restaurants. And remember, that's Israeli slang for restaurants serving Arab cuisine.
That detail really stuck with me too.
Yeah.
It shows how food can transcend cultural boundaries and create these unexpected connections.
Absolutely.
It's a subtle but powerful way to challenge stereotypes and foster understanding.
It's about recognizing that we have more in common than, than what divides us, and food can be that bridge to discovering those shared experiences. And Leah also, she emphasizes the importance of being open to trying new things and exploring different culinary traditions.
Right, and she's constantly encouraging her audience to step outside their comfort zones and explore different culinary traditions.
And she doesn't just say go try this new dish.
Right.
She gives you the history, the cultural context, the personal stories that make the food come alive.
It's like she's saying, here's a window into a different culture.
Come explore it with me.
Come explore it with me.
Exactly. And her enthusiasm is contagious.
You can really hear it in her voice.
You can hear it, you can see it in her eyes.
She clearly loves what she does.
And that passion shines through in every episode.
And her storytelling is also what sets her apart. She weaves personal anecdotes and historical insights into her culinary explorations, which makes the experience so much more engaging and memorable.
It's true. It's not just a cooking show. It's about the stories, the memories, the mishaps, the human connections that make food so much more than, just fuel. And she doesn't shy away from sharing her own vulnerabilities either.
No.
She talks about her cooking fails, her moments of self-doubt.
It all adds to her authenticity, right? It makes her feel like a real person.
Exactly, not some unattainable culinary goddess.
Right. And that's something I really appreciate about her work. She's not trying to be perfect.
No.
She's just Liat.
She's just life.
And that's what makes her so relatable.
Yeah, it's like having a friend in the kitchen with you, guiding you through the process and making you feel like you can actually do this.
Right. Speaking of doing something, have you had a chance to check out Liat's YouTube channel yet? Remember, she's nominated for the Rising Star Award and needs our help to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month.
I have. Her channel, it's called The Liat Show, My Journey to Infinity. And it's really a treasure trove of culinary adventures and cultural insights. I highly recommend subscribing if you haven't already.
It's a great way to support Liat and be a part of her journey.
Exactly. And don't forget about our challenge to create a reel or a short about the Liat Show.
Right. Share with your friends, spread the word.
Spread the word. The most creative and viral one wins a prize.
Now, let's get back to Liat's unique approach to Israeli cuisine. One of the things she emphasizes is that it's a true fusion of flavors, influenced by Jewish communities from all over the world.
Right. It's fascinating how each community brought its own signature dishes to the table, creating this incredible mix of culinary traditions.
And over time, those dishes they evolved and blended together, taking on this distinctly Israeli identity.
It's not just the dishes themselves, though.
Right.
It's the historical context, the cultural influences, the human stories that make Israeli cuisine so rich and complex.
It's like a culinary tapestry woven from threads of tradition, innovation, and adaptation.
I love that. A culinary tapestry.
Liat does an incredible job of unraveling those threads and revealing the fascinating stories behind the food.
She does. She talked about how the need to adapt traditional recipes to kosher dietary laws actually spurred a wave of culinary creativity.
It's such a great point. It's a reminder that limitations can sometimes lead to the most unexpected and delicious innovations.
Exactly. And that spirit of adaptation and innovation is woven into the fabric of Israeli cuisine.
Now, I have to admit, I went into this deep dive thinking, Israeli cuisine was mainly hummus and falafel.
Right.
But Liat, she opened my eyes to a whole world of flavors and dishes I never knew existed.
She does a fantastic job of expanding our understanding of what Israeli food truly encompasses. For example, she calls schnitzel the star of Israeli cuisine.
Right.
Yeah.
Which might surprise some people.
It's true, but she makes a compelling case for it. Schnitzel has become a true cultural phenomenon in Israel with a whole set of traditions and rituals built around it.
It's a great example of how a dish that originated in Europe was adopted and transformed into something uniquely Israeli.
Yes.
And Liat pointed out that the Israeli version of schnitzel is typically made with chicken breast as opposed to the traditional veal.
Right.
This adaptation was driven by factors like kosher dietary laws and and the availability of ingredients in Israel's early years.
Right. It's fascinating to see how practical considerations can shape culinary traditions, and Liat doesn't stop at the basic schnitzel recipe. It
Right.
explores all the different ways Israelis have made it their own, from the breading to the side dishes to the sauces.
Oh yeah, she talked about versions with bisli crumbs, which are those Israeli cheese puffs, and even cornflakes crumbs.
I know, right?
It's amazing to see how they've taken a classic dish and added their own unique twist to it.
It's a testament to their creativity and willingness to experiment in the kitchen.
And then there's the whole Friday schnitzel tradition that Liat describes so vividly. You can practically smell the aroma of fried schnitzel filling the air, and feel the anticipation building for that special family meal.
Oh, it's like being transported right into an Israeli home on a Friday afternoon.
And what's great is that Liat doesn't present this tradition as a monolithic thing, right?
Yeah.
She highlights the different variations and personal touches that each family brings to it.
Like her friend's family who always serves their Friday schnitzel with coleslaw.
Right, right.
It's a reminder that even within a shared cultural tradition, there's room for individual expression and those little quirks that make each family's version special.
Exactly. Speaking of quirky tradition, the Liat's deep dive into Bourekas is another great example of how she blends history, personal anecdotes, and humor to bring Israeli cuisine to life.
Bourekas is one of those ubiquitous dishes you find everywhere in Israel, from bakeries to street stalls to family kitchens.
Right, and it's a seemingly simple pastry,
Right.
but it has such a long and fascinating history.
It does. It does.
Liat, she traced its journey from its possible origins in Central Asia all the way to its prominent place in modern Israeli cuisine.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even the most everyday foods often have surprising stories to tell.
And she also peppered her narrative with personal memories, like her childhood experiences with frozen Bourekas.
Oh yeah, a true staple in many Israeli kitchens.
Right, and who could forget her hilarious attempts to teach people how to pronounce Bourekas.
I know.
Her comparison to saying "boo" like a ghost, followed by Ray, like they named Renee, and finishing with Coxa, like Cassidy was pure genius.
So clever and memorable.
It really speaks to her desire to make Israeli culture accessible to a wider audience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just about the history and traditions. Liat also connects the popularity of Bourekas to the rise of convenience foods in Israel.
Right, right. She talked about how frozen Bourekas became a lifesaver for busy families in the 80s and 90s.
It's a good reminder that food trends are often influenced by social and economic factors as much as by taste preferences.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Liat, being Liat, she keeps it real. She doesn't shy away from discussing the potential health downsides of Bourekas, particularly those high in trans fat.
And she even admitted to struggling with maintaining a healthy diet in a country where Bourekas are so readily available and tempting.
I mean, they're delicious.
It's so refreshing to hear that kind of honesty from someone who is so passionate about food.
Absolutely.
It makes her relatable and reminds us that even the most delicious treats should be enjoyed in moderation.
Yeah, it's all about balance.
Speaking of delicious treats, before we move on to Liat's unique way of using food to explore the Israeli-Arab relationship, let's take a moment to remind our listeners about how they can support her journey.
Yes, absolutely. If you're enjoying this deep dive into Israeli cuisine and want to learn more from Liat, head over to YouTube and search for The Liat Show, My Journey to Infinity.
Hit that subscribe button and help her reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month.
It's a small gesture that can make a big difference in supporting Liat's nomination for the Rising Star Award.
And while you're at it, get creative and share this episode with your friends.
Yeah.
The most creative and viral reel or short about the Liat Show wins a prize.
All right, so let's delve into this complex and fascinating aspect of Liat's work. One of the things that sets Liat apart is how she uses food as a lens to explore the intricate relationship between Israeli Jews and Arab Israelis.
It's a topic that's often portrayed in a very polarized way in the media. But Liat, she offers a different perspective.
She moves beyond simply describing dishes and delves into the social and cultural dynamics that play out around the dinner table.
It's a powerful approach that reveals how food can be a bridge between cultures.
Absolutely.
She acknowledges the historical and political reality, but she also highlights the personal connections and shared experiences that happen through food.
Yeah, it's about finding common ground and building relationships despite differences.
For example, she talked about her love for the schnitzel served at Oriental restaurants,
Right.
which as we mentioned earlier, is Israeli slang for restaurants serving Arab cuisine.
Right.
This seemingly small detail speaks volumes about how food can transcend cultural boundaries and create a space for connection and understanding, even in contexts where there's a history of conflict.
Right. It's about recognizing the humanity in each other, and food can be a powerful catalyst for that.
Liat also shared stories about building friendships with Arab Israelis through their shared love of food. These personal anecdotes really highlight the power of food to break down stereotypes and create genuine connections.
It's a reminder that personal connections can often bridge divides in ways that politics cannot.
Food,
Sure.
food becomes this common language, a way to communicate and connect on a deeper level. It's about celebrating differences while also acknowledging our shared humanity.
Exactly. It's about fostering empathy and understanding through the simple act of sharing a meal.
And Liat's work is a testament to the power of food to bring people together and create a more harmonious and delicious world.
Her approach is inspiring, and it's something we can all learn from.
So as we wrap up part two of our deep dive, let's leave our listeners with a thought to ponder.
Yeah. In a world that often feels divided, how can you use food to build bridges, foster understanding, and create a more connected and delicious future?
And remember, you can join Liat on her culinary journey by subscribing to The Liat Show, My Journey to Infinity, on YouTube.
Yes, and you can also find her on Substack, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Patreon.
And don't forget to create a reel or a short about The Liat Show for a chance to win a prize.
We can't wait to see your creative takes on Liat's work.
Stay tuned for part three, where we'll continue exploring Liat's culinary world and uncover more of her insights and delicious discoveries.
Welcome back. Before we wrap up, I want to circle back to Liat's point about how the most delicious food, it often comes from grandparents.
Yeah. There's something about those recipes passed down through generations. Just it hits different.
Right. It's the love, the history, the connection to family and tradition.
It's like each dish tells a story.
It does. It does.
And Liat, she is a master storyteller. The way she weaves personal anecdotes, historical insights, and cultural context into her culinary explorations, it makes her work so captivating.
She's not just teaching us how to cook.
Right.
She's inviting us to join her on this journey of discovery.
Through food.
Through food. A journey that's as much about connecting with people and cultures as it is about, enjoying delicious flavors.
And it's a journey that's accessible to everyone. Liat does a brilliant job of making even complex culinary concepts feel approachable.
Right. She uses clear language, she avoids jargon, and she isn't afraid to inject some humor into her explanations.
Right. Like when she compared pronouncing Bourekas to saying boo like a ghost, followed by Ray as in Renee, and ending with Cass like Cassidy.
I know. It's so good.
It was such a clever and memorable way to break down a potentially intimidating word.
Right. It's those little touches that make Liat's work so so engaging and effective. She's not just an expert chef. She's a friend sharing her passion and knowledge with us.
And her passion is truly infectious.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
can hear it in her voice.
You can see it in her eyes.
It's what draws people to her and makes them want to learn from her.
It's true.
Speaking of learning from Liat, I want to remind our listeners about her YouTube channel, The Liat Show: My Journey to Infinity. It's a treasure trove of culinary adventures, cultural insights, and personal stories.
Yeah, if you've enjoyed this deep dive and want to explore more of Liat's world, I highly encourage you to subscribe to her channel.
She's been nominated for YouTube's Rising Star Award and needs our help to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of the month.
It only takes a second to hit that subscribe button and make a difference.
And don't forget to share the love. Spread the word about Liat's work by creating a reel or a short about the Liat Show and sharing it with your friends.
The most creative and viral one, it wins a prize.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with a challenge.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
How can you incorporate Liat's approach into your own life? How can you use food to connect with different cultures, build bridges, and create a more harmonious and delicious world?
We encourage you to explore different cuisines, try new recipes, and most importantly, approach food with a sense of curiosity, respect, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone.
And remember, as Liat so beautifully demonstrates, food is more than just fuel. It's a language that speaks to our hearts, our histories, and our shared humanity.
Thanks for joining us on this culinary adventure. Until next time, happy cooking and happy connecting.